you?
Things are a bit sad today because we are celebrating, not quite we're celebrating life,
Yeah,
yeah, but you know how things are. When life has to come to an end, it's a bit of a sad moment. But
yeah.
it's unfortunate that you know it's not going past. It's the end of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the end
So
of life and the beginning of a new era.
yes, that's very true. And
Yeah,
I was just thinking about the idea that somebody had to die. I mean, the queen had to die for Charles to be king.
of course, absolutely. That's the sad bit.
Mm,
We're glad that we have a new king.
yeah,
However, we're sad to see the queen go. As you say, the whole country is in mourning.
yeah,
But one thing that we are
mhm.
glad to know is that she lived long.
Yes,
She
yes,
she reigned for over 70 years,
yes.
and that alone is a blessing. And
It really is a blessing. Yes,
yeah, and I do believe that Queen Elizabeth will be remembered for years and centuries to come. You know, this is
yes,
this is a part of history, and it's quite is I'm honored to be part of it. To say I can say to my grandkids that I was there, you
yes,
know, when the Queen died, and we all mourned her death, and we welcomed the new king. So it's a big part of history.
yes. And I think for most of us, we've only been. I mean, a whole 7 years. So it's like we just know about the queen. We don't know about any different sort of person in that same position.
Absolutely. As you say, most of us only know Queen Elizabeth II. All the
Mm,
other kings and queens, we just see them as history, really. And
yes.
all our lives, we only
Mm,
know Queen Elizabeth. So it's quite sad. It is a sad moment. But what
mm,
gives us peace is the way she reigned over 50 something countries in the world. And
yeah.
she was the glue that connected
Yeah.
all these countries, you know. It is
Mm,
sad, but she did well. She done well. She
yeah.
does
Yeah. Yeah.
really well. And King Charles has a big boot to fill because Queen Elizabeth was one of a kind. So he has got a big boot to fill.
Yep. And
Yeah,
it's so interesting that I was just thinking how like you don't choose to be born and you don't choose to die, but you sort of
yeah,
choose how you live, that sort of thing.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. The day you're born and the day you die is not under your control. Is
Hmm.
it's not in our hands. But as you say, choose to live a good life, a happy life, and be good. You know
Yes, of
that
course.
one is all in your hand. The way you live your life, that is all up to you.
It's up
You
to
know.
you, exactly. Yeah. And
Well,
then
we
mhm,
say farewell to the Queen. She
mhm.
has been a joy to watch, and as you can see, like these past 10 days, the whole country is just been in mourning. Everywhere you turn, every conversation has to be about the Queen. So that should just tell you how much she was loved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think maybe we should think about getting rid of Mondays. What do you think?
Sorry. Oh, wouldn't that be a pleasure for all of us to have Mondays off? We can just
Yeah,
say, you know what, Monday was the day the Queen got buried. So from now on, Monday is a weekend as well.
yeah. Mondays are weekend as well. It's like
Uh,
would you
that
would you
would
rather
be
have a
wonderful.
Monday off, or would you rather have a Friday off?
Um, I'd rather a Monday off. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd rather a Monday off because Friday, by
Mm,
the time you finish work and you get home, the day is done already. But at
mm,
least Saturday and Sunday go so quick.
mm,
So you can still do things on a Saturday and Sunday and then knowing that you're off on Monday. But
mm,
if you miss the Friday, then
mm,
let me say you plan to do something on a Saturday, you don't do it. On Sundays, people just start getting ready for the next day, really. So
mm,
the weekend just goes so quick. I would rather a Monday off.
mm.
I'd rather a Monday off. Monday mornings are always quite miserable. Everyone's everyone's miserable on a Monday morning. So, the weekend went so quick. You know, but
Mm.
yeah, Me personally, I was quite unhappy that we only had one day bank
Hmm.
holiday.
You
I
need to
feel
mourn
like,
for a whole week, yeah.
yeah, yeah, this is the queen we're talking about. This is the queen. And
Mm.
for the Jubilee, we had 2 days, which was fantastic.
Oh
And
yeah.
you expect
Mm.
that when the queen passes, they will at least give us a week holiday. But
I
I
mean,
guess they're
someone
like,
that's someone big. Mhm,
that, yeah, yeah, this is the
mhm,
queen. And since she passed, everywhere you turn,
mhm.
queen, queen, queen. So I'm thinking she's quite special. So why just give us one day? One day is not enough. I need to cry for a whole week. You know?
I know, I
You know.
know.
But
Yeah,
God
it's
bless her
crazy.
soul.
Hmm. Yeah, I
God bless
mean,
her.
the initial conversation when we spoke about coming through and coming to hang with us, you
Yeah.
mentioned that you wanted to make the world aware of a situation,
Yes.
which is, I'll give the floor to you.
Yeah. Um, as we conversated the last time, I expressed that I
Yeah,
would like to raise awareness on the
yeah,
issue of autism.
yes,
And autism right now is quite common. A lot of
hmm,
people, compared to in those days when it wasn't really spoken about, but I'm pretty sure most of your listeners would have heard
yeah,
about autism.
yes,
So it's just for me to raise the awareness that it's something that's real.
mm-hmm.
People go through it, and I myself, I'm in that situation as a mother of
Okay,
an autistic child. Yeah.
hmm,
So I wanted to use your platform just to talk about it,
yeah,
raise awareness, and just bring comfort to whoever else is going through the same situation I'm going through. Let them know that they're not alone,
yeah,
and there's people out here that go through the same thing. So there is support and how they can get support
hmm,
to deal with the situation.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so saying that, it's like, when did you actually realize that your daughter was autistic? What were the signs?
Um, I realized because when she was developing, I realized she was quite delayed because I wouldn't want to use the
Mm,
word slow. So
okay.
some of her development were quite slow, so
Hmm.
sorry, delayed.
Yeah.
Um, Especially with her walking. She didn't walk up until the age of 22 months. And
Hmm.
you know, according to milestones of kids, you know that at a certain age they should be saying words, even if it's just single words or
Mm,
repeating after you. So I noticed some of the areas of speech and
hmm.
communication and were quite delayed. So I raised it up when I went for her 2.5 years developmental
Hmm.
um, um, meeting, because that's something that you go through when you have your child. When
Yeah.
they 2 years, 2.5 years, you have a developmental meeting with the health visitors and the
Hmm.
pediatric just to see how far she's come with her development and where and what stage she is. So
Hmm.
I raised it up to say I think there's something not right. My
Mm,
daughter did not walk up until, because I remember the appointment came when she was about 2 years, 2 months. So
mm,
I just kind of mentioned that she only started walking about 2, 3 months ago,
mm,
and she's not saying words, this and that. At first, they will tell you that some kids are quite delayed, is not an issue. But I was quite adamant because I do
mm.
believe as a parent,
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
not
Yes. Yes.
ignore, but you've seen other kids, been around other people's kids, and
Yeah.
so they said to me, okay, well, if it's something that you're really serious, we can start doing the process, because it is a process. They don't really diagnose them
Yeah.
up until the age of 5.
Hmm.
As I mentioned, most kids do face delayed development, but eventually most kids will end up catching up. Maybe by the age of 3, 4, they will catch up. So that's
Yeah.
why
Hmm.
when it comes to diagnosing autism, they don't do it in a very early stage. You do it like at the age of 4, 5.
Hmm.
So the process started, went on the waiting list. I think it was about six to 18 months or something
Hmm.
when the whole process started. And eventually she got diagnosed when she was 4.5. That's
Hmm.
when they told me that, yeah, she's autistic.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, I I'm so, from what I remember about autism, from the
mm,
little experience that I have, is sometimes it's what I remember very well is that at birth,
mm,
what could have happened was maybe the pressure and the brain, and the pressure while labor, and I mean at the point of deliverance,
yeah,
it could have affected the brain in such a way that
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
yeah. So it's one of those things. It's just having had the conversation earlier on, I started to sort of look to see some of the information that's relevant about the subject,
yeah,
and it sort of intrigued me to know more about this. And so many times we are not that we are not aware. I don't know if I want to say uh, we're not aware of certain things, and we are not sort of inclined to find out
mm,
or whatsoever.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's ideal that we get this information and raise awareness.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about autism is
Mm.
not like Down syndrome where
Yes. Yes. Of
you
course.
can
Yeah.
find out from when you're
Mm.
pregnant.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
is not picked up. As I say, the children with autism don't really get diagnosed to the age of 5. So
Mm.
it's something that's not picked up while pregnant,
Mm.
and they normally give a child a chance to
Mm.
catch
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
in their own way. And up till now, there's not really no evidence of what causes autism. They do know that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's something to do with the brain. Is
Mm.
a developmental um, disorder that can affect the way people
Yeah.
interact, the way they like their perspective, really, how
Yes.
they
Yes.
see
Yes.
life.
Yes.
So there's not been no concrete evidence of, oh, this is what's caused autism and this is what creates it. But there's speculations.
Yes.
There have
Yes.
been speculations that it might be, as you say, during birth the
Mm.
child probably went through a lot of stress,
Mm.
and also speculation of immunization,
Mm.
vaccination, and all these injections that they do give pregnant women. While I was going through the process of my daughter, I was doing a lot of investigation, research, and there have been doctors and nurses that claim that when women are pregnant, some of these injections that they give you during pregnancy contain zinc, and
Mhm.
zinc is a very strong substance. So they do believe that for some children they cannot handle it, so it affects their brain. Yeah, and that's why some people, you meet some women that are pregnant, they're very adamant that they're against injections or immunization. But at the same time, if you don't do these type of things, the government will chase you up, and if you're not careful, they can, they will put it down to neglect, and they will raise social services. There have been parents that have gone all the way to court because they they have been adamant that they don't want their child to be immunized, and the government have taken them to court because of that. So it is kind of a difficult situation.
Mhm.
And you cannot turn around and say to a doctor, oh, well, I think it's the injection that you gave
Mhm.
me, because they say that there's no evidence about that. There's not been no concrete evidence, just speculation. So I, I personally think we're all made differently. We're
Mhm.
all, even when we say, okay, the normal person, what is normal? You
Mhm.
know, so God creates all of us different. There will be different type of people in the world. So
Mhm.
if you are blessed with a child that has autism, you are blessed with the differences that we all have. You
Yeah.
get to
Yeah.
experience differences, because some of us, we just see each other, we're all the same. So when you're around or blessed with someone, a child with autism, you get to experience different. Is a really big eye opener, you
Mhm.
know. Um, I have worked with people with autism previously, and I can say my daughter has taught me more
Mhm.
in the 9 years, and she's taught me to be tolerant. She taught me as well. One big lesson she taught me is not to judge.
Yes. Yes.
Because
Yes. Yes.
yes, that is one
Mhm.
big lesson. Like I can say, before I was a mother, if I am on the bus or
Mm.
public transport and I see a child, having a meltdown of,
Yeah, yeah,
I will assume that child is spoiled or maybe.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But now, I'll be like, even if I'm around people that will say, "Oh, look at that child. Why are they behaving like that?" I'm quick to correct them. I'm like, "You don't know if the child is autistic, because children with autism, certain places and situations can be so overwhelming for them
Mm.
that they will end up having a breakdown. It could be either the noise,
Mm.
too much people.
Mm.
So she's taught me not to judge. She taught me to look outside the box and not jump into conclusion. So that's the beauty of it. It is a big eye opener for me, and I would not change it for anything.
Yeah,
Honestly, the experience, he has been tough. I cannot say it's not easy. It's easy. It's like a walk in the park. Is not,
mm-hmm.
but from when you accept that this is the situation I'm in, this is how my child is, and you accept it, and you leave everything to God, really. Like, I strongly believe in God, and I can say that sometimes I even question myself, like, how you're doing it, and I'm doing it, and you don't know where the strength comes from, but trust in yourself, trust in God, and just enjoy the process, really, because it is such a beautiful thing when you see that child developing in their own way. You understand? They're developing
Yeah,
their own way. They have their own way of doing things. They have their own perspective of life. And as somebody without disability, it amazes me. It
yeah,
amazes me how they get on with their life day by day. And with autism is a spectrum. It is
mm-hmm.
a wide spectrum, because you have Asperger's syndrome, you have the autism syndrome itself, you have childhood this integrative disorder, you have the persuasive developmental disorder. Those are the four types of autism, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and people with Asperger's syndrome is Asperger's, I would say, is more of the high functioning, because you have people with autism that function as normal as me and you. And
Yeah,
those are the ones that normally are very, very smart and
mm-hmm.
absolutely intelligent. It's funny, because whenever I tell people that, oh yeah, my daughter's autistic, the first thing they say, oh, I bet she's very smart. Oh, I bet she's
Uh,
quite good, at this, then I'm like, yeah, she is smart, because
mm-hmm.
when they get fixated in a certain area, it could be music,
Yes,
they excel greatly in that, because they're just all of their focus is on that area. You know, I can right now, the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. Is it Elon
Elon
Musk?
Musk. Yeah,
Yeah,
Elon Musk.
yeah, he's got Asperger's syndrome.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
he's part of the autism disorder. We know about the guy that came up with that created Pokemon Go. He's autistic as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So they,
And then I think there's another lady that I sort of seen while I was doing the check
yeah.
about the whole subject. There's a lady who actually who's autistic, and she decided in somewhere in America, she
Mm,
was so caught up on the idea of farming,
mm.
and she became a millionaire out of her. I think the idea of focus is so prominent with people who are autistic, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm,
Focus. This is why, if as a parent with a child with autism, if you notice that your child is good at a certain area,
hmm.
don't really. Okay, one thing you should not even do is compare your child to any other child.
Yeah.
Always know that your child is unique. They're
Hmm.
unique in their own way, and they're talented in their own way. So if you notice that my child is fixated in this area,
Hmm.
push them to to do more.
Yes, yes.
Invest your time in letting them, whatever it is. It could be music, it could be playing the piano, it could be, it just even if they're just interested in computer thing, make just
Mm-hmm.
allow them to grow in that area, because trust me, we have seen the amount of great things that people with
Yeah.
autism has have
Mm.
created in this world. And sometimes when you hear about other people and you realize, oh, the person's autistic, you're like, wow, I would never think.
You
But
never thought, yeah.
you would never think. But that's what I said to people. It is a spectrum, because some people think, oh, if someone's autistic, some may think about the worst side of it,
Mm.
being not being able to talk, this and that. Yes, and then and it's true, because we go through, because there's different type of people that go through that. But at the other end of the spectrum is the most intelligent people that will come up with the most creative things. you
Things,
know
yeah.
for
Mm.
example, when I was working with people with autism, I
Mm.
had this young girl, that she was high functioning, really,
Mm.
so Asperger's, really.
Mm.
And she was attending University of Arts London. And I can tell you, Andrew,
Mm.
she can sit there, watch you, and she can draw you exactly.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Just sitting there looking at you. 'Cause, like, there's
Mm.
times where I'm there doing paperwork. She's come to the office, she sits there. I'm not really focused in what she's doing, but she'll be
Mm.
there in her pad, and the next minute she tells you, look, you think,
Mm-hmm.
wow, how did you do that? I cannot even draw a flower. Not talk about drawing somebody.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know.
Exactly.
And she was so smart, she was so good that her work was part of the UAL, University Arts London, the prospectus. When you
Okay.
go and get the prospectus of a
Yeah,
university,
yeah,
her
yeah, yeah.
work was on the prospectus.
Mm.
So it just, it kind of like amazes you. You think, how
Mm.
do their brain work?
Yep.
And they are so smart. I don't know if you couple of years ago,
Mm.
this I think it was a young girl as well that was autistic. And what they did was, I think she stood on top of the Tower of London and something like that. And she had a 2 minutes look around the area.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I remember her. I remember
Yes,
her. And she, yeah,
yes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then after she surveyed the area, she
Mm.
went back home and drew it exactly how
Yeah,
it was,
yeah. I
without not
remember.
taking a second look. She just
Mm.
pictured it, and then she went home and drew it.
Mm.
And that was amazing, really, because most artists, even if they draw something exactly, they have to be in that environment, observe the environment, then create that type of work. So it just kind of tells you that don't be discouraged if you have a child with autism. It is
Mm.
not the end of the world. It's see as is the beginning of a beautiful thing, because you just don't know the talent that God has instilled in that child,
Yeah.
that will end up making a big difference in the world.
In the world, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So it is a beautiful thing. I do know that some parents, it is a shock, because
Mm.
when you're told that your child's autistic at first, or
Mm.
learning disabilities, you're thinking, oh Lord, why me? Why do I have to go through
Yeah,
this and that and that? But from when you go past that acceptance stage,
yeah,
just get all the support you need out there, because there's support out there. You just,
yeah, 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 yeah. It's
to,
proper there.
it's
It's
there.
funny. It's
It's
funny
there.
enough. It's funny enough. I had a conversation with I had a guest the other time, and
Yeah.
we was talking, and well, we sort of came to talking about how identity, people are so affected about identity. Sometimes people come to England thinking that I want to be English, but what they don't realize is that
Mhm.
what is actually what they think they're taking supposed to be British is
Mhm.
actually not British, and
Mhm.
then they forget that the government is actually willing to give you money to
Mhm.
facilitate things that will help you keep your identity.
Yes, yes,
So
absolutely.
there's so much funding out there that people don't know about.
Yes, yes. Like, at the end of the day, they do say, you know, um, knowledge is power.
Yeah, yeah.
What you know and ignorance can also be a disease, because what you don't know, you
Mm,
don't know, but what you know will sometimes help you so much. There's charities out there. There's the National Autistic Society.
mm,
There is Sense. There's Mind.
mm.
There's so much. You just have to step out there, even like in your local community. If you look and if you search, you realize there's so much support for parents and children with autism. As I said before, like, Ivory is a blessing to me, because I've been places where some people have to pay for their kids to get in, and myself and Ivy get in for free. You understand?
You,
you,
you you know us. You know us. We like that free stuff. You
you
know.
like, of course. Like, sometimes you go places and they're like, oh, okay, well, can we see your carer's badge or something? So I'm like,
Mm.
Ivy, do your thing. Let them know. And then when things start getting overwhelming for her and she starts screaming, then all right,
Mm.
then go, get in. Get in. So she has brought a blessing to me. It's
Yeah,
a big blessing, because, like, as I say, this part of the world is the best place to get all the support you need.
you need.
Like,
Yeah.
sometimes, as an African, I always think, oh, if I was living in Africa and I had
Mm.
a child with autism, first of all, the ignorance behind it
Yeah, yeah,
in Africa is huge.
yeah.
And let's be honest, I'm not saying there's no help or support, but it's not gonna be
As
on the
as
scale.
adequate as you could get
Yes,
it from here.
like here,
Mm.
So don't feel and I think discouraged if you're going through that
Mm.
situation.
Mm.
Like, through me, I have even educated family back home that have never
Mm.
heard of autism, never
Mm.
experienced it. And I'm pretty sure there have been a lot of people in Africa with autism, but we don't, because of the ignorance, we don't
Yeah,
know.
we didn't know. Yes, and I
Yes.
suppose maybe with the environment as well. So it's like somebody. It's like I was looking at the whole situation where
Mm.
people are going through. Uh, take for instance
Yes.
diabetes. Yeah, you find that people in the rural areas sort of ate sugary stuff, and then
Yes.
went out into the field and did the whole plowing, and then what happened then, by this plowing and being burnt by the sun,
Mm.
you started to sweat, and
Hmm.
then somehow your sugar levels were regulated by that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
someone will continue to live without knowing that they are actually diabetic, but they
Hmm.
actually are. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. Yep. There is a lot of disabilities in Africa where, if people were a lot more educated on that area, and there's support from the medical side, then a lot of people will learn to live with it. They will
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
to accept it. But because society, like you have that how would I say,
The little
that
knowledge of a subject.
judgmental, yeah,
Mm.
a little knowledge, and you also have that judgmental
Yes, 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 yes,
idea,
yes.
in the African society, where if you have a
Mm.
child with disability, they'll be like, oh, that maybe you did
There was
something wrong.
bewitched, or yeah, you did,
Yeah,
yeah.
like you're a witch, or that's a curse. You know, that's a curse. God, placed upon you, or you're a witch, or you caused it. And
Yeah.
some people actually
You
become
need to,
isolated,
yeah, you
yeah,
need to
from their
take a
community.
goat and go slaughter it for the ancestors. Mm.
Yeah. you know, you did something wrong. That's why
Mm.
you're cursed with that
Mm.
child like that. So, and then some people actually become isolated from
Yes, yes.
society, because from when you've been given that stigma that, or you're a witch, or you did
Mm.
something, people don't want to be around you. People
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to be around your child.
Mm.
So being here is
Mm.
like a big blessing
Blessing,
to
yeah.
have the support of the government, because no matter what,
Mm.
like, even England has come a long way when it comes to inclusion of people with disability,
Mm.
even though it's very, very good, but there's still a lot of improvements to be made. There's still a lot of awareness to be raised out there, especially to the younger generation. That
Yeah.
let them understand that there's people out there that are different than you, and
Yeah.
even in the mainstream, for us without disability, we are all different in our own way.
Own way.
You know,
Yes.
all
Because
different, but we're all unique as well. So if you raise the awareness amongst children, and one thing I do like about my daughter's school, my daughter goes to a special school,
mm-hmm.
and they are very, 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 very good. And just next door to them, there's a mainstream school, and what they
Okay.
do, yeah, what they do sometimes is some days they'll bring the kids from the mainstream school to the special school to spend a day with the kids with disability to raise,
Okay.
yeah, which is
Awareness.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
that's really fantastic, man.
it is absolutely fantastic. And sometimes they will take some of
Mm,
the kids from the special school
mm,
to the mainstream school, so
mm.
that kids know that there's other children that are different from them, but they're
Yeah.
all the same. You're all kids, but this
Mm,
one might be a little bit different from you. So that awareness that they're trying to and create from a young age for
mm.
children to understand, that will make a big difference in the future.
Difference in the yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
because children are the future of tomorrow. So if we have kids that are well educated about the differences in this world,
Mm-hmm.
when they get to an adult, they will always um, include everybody.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
know,
That's true.
discrimination will be less. You know,
Mm-hmm.
people will not be discriminated because of they've got a learning disability or physical disability, whatever. So you create that oneness, that
Mm-hmm.
humanity among within them, to know that even though this person has a disability, they're the same person as me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just out of interest, how
Yeah.
did you how did you sort of deliver the message, or how did your the father of your daughter sort of take the whole situation?
Um, I can say he was quite supportive. He was
Mm-hmm.
quite supportive. He was there when I raised the concern on Ivory, because
Yeah.
we both attended
Mm.
the meeting, and I could say maybe for him
Mm-hmm.
was more of a shock
I know.
than it was for me, because I have worked with people with autism before, and I could say I kind of knew.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the doctor told me, after I've been through all the processes,
Mm.
and they called us in to tell us that, yeah, upon doing all the investigation and going through all the processes, she's we came up we've concluded that she's autistic. And I literally just went, okay. And the doctor
Mm.
looked at me and said, "Oh, did you know already?" I said, "I had an idea. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had an
Mm-hmm.
idea. I could see the signs and symptoms,
Mm.
and but I could still remember that day, the whole journey home. We were
Mm.
both very, very quiet, because we just had
Uh,
to, even though I knew it's
mm.
something that you still have to take in, that this is it
Yes, yes,
now.
yes. Mm.
It has been proven there is, that she's autistic.
Mm.
And for him at first,
Mm-hmm.
it was something difficult for him to accept. But one thing that I know is the love, the immense love that he had for
Yeah.
his daughter.
Word.
It
Mm.
also, yeah, it was also a learning thing for him. Imagine somebody
Yes, yes, yeah.
faced autism and don't really know that much about autism. So
Mm.
he had to learn about it. He had to learn about how to cope with Ivory,
Mm-hmm.
my daughter's name,
Mm-hmm.
and learn about how um, to handle situations where she has a meltdown,
Yeah.
and, and where she can be quite challenging. So overall, I would say he was very supportive, still being very supportive, but
Mm-hmm.
it was quite of a shock to him. It took
Yeah.
him a while for it to digest,
Yeah.
for him to digest. And eventually, when he realized that this is my child,
Mm-hmm.
I, I can say that he's handling it well now.
Yeah. Because I was
Handling,
just trying to think as a man when some
yeah,
some of these things come up, and then you think to yourself that because normally many times is the mother is the nurturer,
Of
and then
course, of course,
the father is the sort of
the
the,
provider.
the provider and stuff.
Yeah,
So it's like sometimes, many times, men sort of, not to say detached with the kids, but
mm,
it's a sort of, there's the relationship that is not quite there in, maybe say, in most of our African families. Like the dad,
yeah,
your father is your father, he stays there, and he's
yes,
just out there to provide and come back
yes,
home, and
yes,
as long as people are provided
yes,
with security and stuff,
yes,
he's fine.
yeah.
But then it's like, with the kids, it's like, even when uh, in this instant that you want something, you don't go
Mm.
straight to your dad, you go
No,
to
you
your
ask
mama.
your mom.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. We, well, like we're both Africans, and we know when it comes to the love, care,
Mm.
and nurturing, is the mother that shows
Yeah.
the type of emotions to a child. A
Yeah.
dad, a dad is normally seen as, like that fear in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
The father figure, because even even though your mom can discipline you and all that, but when they say, when your mother turns around and say, wait till your father comes home,
Yeah.
you know what time it is.
Like the whole mama.
No, mama, please, you know what time it is.
Yeah.
You father your
Yeah.
mom to discipline you there and then, but please don't tell dad. So, but I think with our generation, we're trying to break that stigma of fathers not
Stigma. Yeah.
showing emotions,
Mm.
and
Mm.
we, like in the African community, even if you say to your dad, "Father, Dad, I love you," you be like, "Okay," you have to hear a father say, "I love you too," and they do love you, but it's just
Yeah.
how they were brought up as well. And
Mm.
that's the same with, a father
Mm.
don't show that much
Mm.
emotion. The father side is more of the serious side, you
Mm.
know, read your books, listen to your mom, go to
Mm.
school, type of thing. As
Yeah.
long as you're being fed, you're being
Mm.
clothed,
Mm.
that's it. Don't disturb that.
Yeah. You remember? I think there's a scene that
Mm,
the clip was circulating around for a while.
yeah.
The movie Fences by Denzel Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, fences. Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
you remember? Yeah, and
Yes,
then
I've seen you. When he said, I don't have to love you.
I don't have.
That you're in my house, I feed you. And funny enough, that's the tough love that
Yeah.
black fathers used to show us.
Yeah. Mm.
That's why I think these generations now, because we've kind of understand how that can be very toxic to a child, because
Yeah.
it kind of puts that barrier for you to have a
Yeah.
bond with
Yeah.
your dad. You know
The
what I
dad
mean?
and
And your
try and
dad,
communicate. Hmm.
yes, even to communicate with your
Yeah.
dad, you can't, because that fear your dad has put has been instilled in you from a child. You
Mm.
kind of grow with it. That's why
Yeah.
even like you meet a grown man that, even if their father is saying something that's not right,
Mm.
they they feel scared to even say, no, dad,
Yeah.
this you're doing or what you're saying, it's not how it is. This is how it is. So they'll just rather sit there and take it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
It's
rather
a whole.
than yeah, rather than correcting your dad or trying to make the situation a better situation. They just rather sit there and go to mommy's. That's why they always say everybody's a mommy's child. Go to mom and cry on mom's shoulders. And and unfortunately the mother had to carry most of the burden of the family, because
Mm.
they've got the kids to worry about, they've got their husband to worry about, they've got other people, society to worry
Mm.
about. So it is not easy,
Mm.
but for Ivory's father in that situation, I would say he actually took it well. And he constantly tells his daughter he loves her. He
Uh-huh.
constantly tells her that, you're my special little girl. So
Mhm.
things like that, that communication, that bond is really, really good. Building up that relationship with your child is very important.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole situation. And then
Yeah.
comes the in-laws. Like I'm sure it would have been something interesting and something that was something new to them.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm. Mm.
Absolutely. that like there was a point. There was a point I can even. Oh God, I just remembered what my father said to me once, and
Yeah.
he wanted to blame the father side of the, like the
Ah.
father side of the family. He's saying that, oh no, we don't have these type of things in my family. It's his family. But then I had to enlighten him and said to him,
Yes. It.
Dad, because before I
Mm,
had Ivory,
mm,
um, apart from just working with people with autism, my older sister, is a cousin to me, but I call her my
yeah.
older sister,
Mm,
she had a child, a son with autism.
mm-hmm,
So I had to enlighten him to say, Dad, I don't really think it's a thing to do with or his family or our family. But if you want to take it that way, what would
mm,
you say about my sister that's already got a child with autism?
mm,
So I said it's got nothing to do with genes or genetics and this and
mm,
that. Something that it just happened.
yeah.
Is something that affects the brain, and everyone just, as I said, everyone's born differently. It was a big shock to them. It was,
Yeah.
but one thing they have done is where they have also kind of adapted in changing their.
Yeah. 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 I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure. They also babysit sometime.
Yeah,
Mm,
definitely. They do
mm,
babysit, and they absolutely love their grandchild.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes she can take the mick out of them because she knows that they are her grandparents, and she wouldn't want to listen and this and that.
Mm, mm, mm,
But I can say they have absolutely adapted in how to look after Ivory.
mm-hmm.
And one thing they are not scared to do is to ask,
Mm,
and I always tell
yeah.
them, when you're with Ivory or you're babysitting, whatever it is that's been challenging, just call me and ask me.
Mm.
But through the years, the calls and the questions have become less and less.
Less and less. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We
So
now
they've
know this.
learned, yes, they've
Yeah.
learned to um they've adapted in her ways, and then they also change their own ways and thinking, because just the other day, my dad was saying to me, I think he was just something just kind of hit him to
Mm,
say, wow, look how Ivory is developing, because now she's starting to communicate, her
mm,
social skills have been improved and
mm-hmm,
all that. And he said to me, my daughter, like
mm,
when we were young, when I was a child,
mm,
and then somebody has a child with disability,
mm-hmm.
or because then he's just thinking to himself, how many of our family members, because my dad came from a big huge family,
Yeah.
had autism that we did not know, and because we were not educated of it. And
Mm,
it's like in those days when people have a child with disability,
mm.
like, and then the parent and don't want the child, they'll take the child to the bush and leave the child there.
Ooh,
Yeah.
damn.
So yeah,
Mm.
they'll take the child to the bush. They'll say the child is a devil, is a devil
Ah.
child, which way. So I think he hit him to know the ignorance behind it. He's
Mm,
like, I remember when I was a child, my
mm,
father's, because my grandfather was a chief where we're
mm-hmm,
from. He had several wives, and he could remember one of the wives had a child with a disability,
mm-hmm.
and when that child is born, within a couple of days, that child was not seen anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Like, hold on, hold on. What just happened?
what just happened, and as a child, in those days, you don't really ask
Mm,
questions and things like
yeah,
that. But they kind of knew what's
yeah.
happening, because from when the child's been labeled as a devil child, what
Mm,
they say is they take you back to where you come from, take you
mm.
back to the evil land or wherever you come from. So that child was not seen or heard of anymore. So I think he's also quite um grateful that
Mm-hmm.
his mentality has changed, his
It's
knowledge
changed. Yeah.
of acceptance has changed. So when he told me this, I was like, wow, Dad. He said, you know
Mm,
what? You're
mm,
blessed. He said, you're blessed. Being at this part of this world and having a child like this, he said, trust me, you're blessed. Because if you're in Africa, even this day and age,
mm-hmm.
people will still, give you that look,
Yeah.
you know, like,
So,
yeah.
how do you sort of when I suppose you are in a public space,
Yeah.
and then I'm sure it's been sort of would say the transition to a point where you now uh, think different. So if you're in a
Yeah.
public space and then she melts down,
Yeah. Yeah.
how how do you sort of treat, handle the situation,
Yeah.
including the onlookers?
Yeah. I've learned to ignore,
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to ignore through the 9 years. Yes, at first,
Mm,
it's only natural that
mm,
it really gets to you, people giving you
mm,
the look. Some people even, they'll go as far as saying, oh, I shut that child up and things like
mm.
that. Before it really
Did you find yourself did you find yourself saying, "Do you want a piece of me?"
come on then, come on then. You know what? At first, I'll actually break down as well because
Mm,
you feel
yeah.
like you don't understand what my child is going through. You're just judging from the
Mm,
outside. At first, I'll come home and I'll cry to the dad and say, "Oh,
mm,
today has been so difficult," and there will be difficult time. There's no if but and maybe about it.
mm, mm,
While they're
yeah.
going through their development, even for you, because don't forget, it's also a learning curve for you. So
Mm,
any new behavior, any new challenging thing, you're learning up until
yeah.
you get used to it. At first, I'm not gonna say it never used to get to me. It will. You have people staring at
Yeah.
you,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you don't keep your composure as well, you
Yeah,
find
yeah, yeah.
yourself, snapping on the child and all that. You just
Mm,
have to keep calm. But now I
mm-hmm.
don't even look at nobody's face.
Nobody, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't look at nobody because you can judge from the
Mm,
outside. I don't care about what
mm,
you
you don't know.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
all I care about right now is my child is going through a meltdown. All I care about right now is to comfort her, reassure her that she's safe, and then get her to be okay. Your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts don't get to me, and I think you also meet other people in the public that have that understanding and they know
Yes, yes.
about it, and they'll be
Mm,
so supportive. So it's like, no, no, don't worry, take your time.
yeah, yeah.
It's okay. So I focus more on the people that have something positive to say than
Mm-hmm.
those that don't. Like one day I had to shut one lady up on the bus, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Ivy was having a meltdown because she didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
get off the bus because she loves the bus. So sometimes
All
when
right.
it's
Mm,
time to get off, she don't. So she started
mm,
screaming, and then the ladies like, oh man, these kids that are just no
mm.
training, kids with no training.
Ooh.
Yeah, and she said it really loud, and I turned
Mm,
around and be like, she's autistic. She went, oh, sorry. I'm like, you
uh-huh.
see, I said, people
Yeah.
like you are the ones that make this world, that make the world not to be a good place because
Yeah.
see somebody,
If
just
you don't know
see,
something, just keep quiet. Then.
just keep quiet. And
Mm,
then apart from the fact that she's autistic, kids,
mm.
mainstream kids also have a breakdown. They're also
Yeah, 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 yeah.
challenging.
Mm,
So as a parent, I don't know if she's a parent, but she's a much older lady. So I'm
mm, mm,
assuming that she's had kids. You know, as a parent, you
mm,
know what that parent is going through right now when their child is having a meltdown. Instead
mm,
of you being sympathetic and
mhm.
understanding, you want
Yeah,
to say the most horrible thing, like
yeah.
those kids with no training or with no manners. Like, come on, you
Come
know,
on, yeah, come
come
on.
on. I'm pretty
Mm,
sure if you've been through it, being your kids have a disability or no, every parent have been through where their child has a total meltdown. But what do?
mhm.
You're supportive. You take a step back, let the parent deal with it. If you want to say something bad, say it in your mind, but don't
Yeah,
say it out
of
loud.
course. Yeah.
So I really, really put her in a place, and she went. Everyone else on the bus was just looking at her, shaking their head. She felt like I can say she felt like shit after I was
Mm.
done. But then I took my child and I came off the bus. I'm like, people like you that don't know nothing, but you always you like to talk. And like,
Mm,
she's autistic. They're like, oh, I never knew. I said, of course, you never knew. So why are you gonna say something?
mm,
So in that area, sometimes it's
mm.
good to shut people up, and then
Yeah.
you have nothing else to say. you know so if you're a parent out there that has a child with autism,
Mm,
block out the negative.
Yeah.
Because if you allow that to get to you, it's just gonna make it 10 times worse. You already have a lot to deal with. You already got a hands full with your child. Focus on that. Just focus on your child. Focus on your child's development. I can say right now, I'm happy to get on public transport with Ivory. The understanding Ivory had. Sometimes
Mm.
even before we get to our bus stop, she already knows that she already starts getting off to go downstairs.
Yes.
You know,
Okay. Okay.
but years back when she was a lot younger, I'll come
Mm-hmm.
home and I'll cry, I'll this, I'll that.
Mm.
But that's why trust the process. Every stage,
Yeah. Trust the process. Exactly.
trust the process, trust me, because the way that they will change and develop, it will amaze you. If
Mm.
you asked me 4 years back that I can see my daughter getting on the bus and getting off without being challenging, I'll say no. That even made me rush to go buy a car because I couldn't
Mm.
take the stairs. I couldn't,
Yeah.
the because sometimes it can be too much for you.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a lot of effort.
it's a lot of effort,
Mm.
and then if you also allow the negative around you to get
Yeah.
to you, it even makes it 10 times worse. So just focus on the positive. There's a lot of positive out
Mm.
there, a lot of people that understand, and for those that don't understand, sometimes you yourself have to educate them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because there's times where if someone's ignorant about something, you can't
Mm-hmm.
blame them on how their perspective is because they don't know. So be be free to educate people. You
Mm.
know, like if they want to know, let them know. Explain to them. Maybe that will change. That will change their perspective, and you
Mm.
don't know through that, you've probably helped someone to be aware of the differences in this world. And then that person changing their perspective like instead of them judging, the next time they see a child having a meltdown, they'll have an understanding. Oh, maybe this child has got a disability, or maybe this child is overwhelmed. It could be anything, you know.
Yeah.
You have to be that like be transparent when it comes to the situation. Don't hide your child. Like
Mm.
some people, when they have a child with disability, they tend not to go out with the child, leave the child at home, this and that.
Mm.
All of that hinders their progress.
Progress.
One
Yeah.
thing, yeah, one thing I did
Mm.
as a mother, even though I know that okay, today we're stepping out, there will be challenges faced.
Mm-hmm.
I never hid my child away. I
Mm.
never
Yeah.
hid it away. Even amongst my friends, I have friends that say to me, like, I think you're one of the most strongest people that I've met,
Mm.
because look at your child. Like, unless sometimes
Mm.
she becomes challenging, you will never know she's autistic.
Mm.
The way the effort that you've put in. Because before people, oh, don't take her away. There's a lot of noise. Don't take her out. This and that. I said, well, if I start putting her, if I start doing those things where I wouldn't take her where there's a crowd or where there's a lot of noise, how is she going to be out there in the world?
Mm.
And the world is a noisy place. You know,
Yes. 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 That's true.
so one thing I did was I made sure she was included in everything.
Mm.
That
That was
includes
good.
it develops their social skills.
Mm.
You
So
know, it,
are you planning to have a second child?
yes, of course, of course. The only thing I'm worried about is the competition because
Yeah.
Ivory is quite a mommy's girl. She's a daddy's girl, but
Yeah.
she's a mommy's girl.
Mm.
But I'll be happy to say I'm ready to have another child because of the stage that she's in. Her understanding is
Mm.
a lot better. She's
Yeah.
she's developed in a way where I'm happy to say, into a lovely young girl, and she's very
Mm.
affectionate, and she
Mm.
loves kids as well. She loves babies.
Yeah.
So at first, a couple years
You.
back, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna have another child because her alone is like having 10 kids. But now the stage that
Yeah.
she's in, it's
It
just
could be
so
manageable.
it
Mm.
could, thank you. That's the right word.
Mm. Mm.
Absolutely manageable. And I know she will love a little brother and sister. So
Mm.
yeah, one more child to go.
Mm. And
Yeah.
you're saying one more child, then
What?
boom, you get triplets.
Oh Lord, and I'm like, that's it for me then, no more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Just to try to, before we close this up, I just
yeah.
wanted to find out, is this something that you would say maybe I think we hinted on it at some point, and then you mentioned about maybe saying opening a creating a YouTube channel where you're going to be explaining some of these things, and raising awareness more, because I'm sure 1 hour is not enough to sort of talk about this subject. Is it
Yes.
something that you would actually consider and full on do it?
Yes, it's something that I'm considering to do. It has been on my mind for a while now because
Mm,
um sometimes, like most of the content on YouTube that YouTubers have, they tend to be the same thing about fashion,
mm,
partying,
yeah,
this and that. And I feel like this area of disability will help, a lot of people. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
you help a lot. It's like something that sometimes we don't talk about. you
Yes,
know
yes.
it's not, it's like we know it's happening. Some people even go through it, but they tend not to talk about it. So yeah, it's something that I'm really, really considering to have a YouTube channel or website, you
Mm-hmm,
know that I can, probably call Ivories,
mm-hmm.
and invite every, family that's going through it. They're free to
Through it, yeah.
subscribe, and
Mm-hmm,
free to interact with me. They want to find out more about Ivory, about autism. So
mm.
in the near future, that is something that I'm
That you
considering.
would to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll be first to know. Yeah, your
Yeah.
listeners will have the opportunity to be first
Yeah.
to know, to access that website or that channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Otherwise, thank you for having you here. It's been a really lovely time, and I appreciate you coming through, because it's unlike for people to come and have a conversation and
Yeah.
enlighten people, because many times we're so caught up on the idea of gossip folks, and sometimes
Hmm.
we need
Hmm.
to touch on subjects that are in the community,
Hmm.
that
Sensitive subjects.
yeah, in the
Yeah.
community, and all
Mhm.
sorts. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for
Thank
coming
you
out.
for having me, Andrew. Thank you, thank you. And enjoy the rest of your bank holiday.
Yep, yep.
All right, then. All right. And then God save the king.
God save the
God
king.
save the king. Thank you very much. And thank you to your listeners as well
Yeah,
for giving me the
yeah, yeah.
opportunity. Thank you.
All right, take
All right.
care.
Take
Mhm,
care. Bye bye.
mhm, mhm.